Good morning, students. Regarding the last week incident, I think Chandrasekhar has given enough class for you. No need to extend more. Let's go to the topic today. That's rhinitis. Okay, rhinitis is a very small topic today. It will take 30 minutes or 35 minutes. It has some important essay and 2 marks questions are there here. Okay. What is rhinitis first? Inflammation of the nasal mucosa. Not rhinosinusitis. Rhinitis. Inflammation of nasal mucosa. This can be viral, bacterial, and even erythroid. Okay. Most common cause of viral rhinitis is that is a common cold. Okay. Common cold is also known as coryza. So etiological features of it most commonly caused by adenovirus and picornavirus and like rhinovirus, coxsackie and all. Okay, so most common this one common cold you will come across in this weather, actually cold weather. Okay, what are the clinical features? Mainly this nasal stuffiness, rhinorrhea, sneezing, and if there is low grade fever, if low grade fever comes, means the chance of bacterial invasion, secondary bacterial invasion. Okay, so treatment for a simple cold or the common cold, mainly bed rest and plenty of fluids and antihistaminics. Any antihistaminics you know? Or the antihistaminics you know? Remdesivir, good. Anything? Recent new generation antihistaminics. Anyway, I'll tell it in allergic treatment. Allergic rhinitis, chlorpromazine, good. And these are actually old generation antihistaminics. Fexofenadine, very good. And loratadine, good. Desloratadine, good. And even Avastin, okay? Avastin, good. Okay. Next, what are the complications of this common cold? Mainly sinusitis, pharyngitis, and tonsillitis, bronchitis, pneumonia, and otitis media. Okay. This influenza, what is influenza rhinitis caused by? Influenza virus A, B, or C. This rhinitis associated with exanthemas like measles, rubella, and chickenpox precedes exanthemas by 2 to 3 days. It's not much important, just for completions I can tell you. Okay. This is bacterial rhinitis. Bacterial rhinitis mainly by diphtheria. This is mainly primary or secondary to partial diphtheria. May occur in acute or chronic form. What is the clinical features here? Finding it's a grayish membrane seen covering the inferior turbinate and floor of the nose, and membrane is tenacious and its removal causes bleeding. Okay. Treatment is isolation of the patient, followed by systemic penicillin and diphtheria antitoxin. Now coming to chronic rhinitis, this is important for you for essay. In this, actually, atrophic rhinitis is essay for you, and even short, may give you as a short answer. And Zika and rhinitis casual are 2 marks question for you. Okay, this is a chronic non-specific inflammation of the nose. This includes chronic simple rhinitis, hypertrophic rhinitis, atrophic rhinitis, and rhinitis Zika and rhinitis casuosa. Coming to simple rhinitis, what are the predisposing factors for it? Mainly sinusitis, tonsillitis, and adenoids, and irritants like dust, smoke, cigarette smoking, and all, and nasal obstruction, and vasomotor rhinitis, and endocrine and metabolic factors like hypothyroidism, There is a pathology here. Here the hyperemia, edema of the mucous membrane, and there is hypertrophy of the seromycinous glands, increase the goblet cells. The clinical features here, mainly nasal obstruction and nasal discharge. Okay, it may be mucoid or mucopurulent. There will be post-nasal drip. What's post-nasal drip? While doing so, there will be dripping from the pharynx. Okay, it's called post-nasal drip. Mainly seen in sinusitis also. Okay, headache, and there will be swollen turbinates. What swollen? There here important is the swollen turbinates fit on pressure and they shrink with application of vasoconstrictor drops like oxymetazoline, glylometazolone. Okay, this differentiates the condition from hypertrophic rhinitis. Next condition, hypertrophic rhinitis, they are in swollen turbinates, they won't fit on pressure and they won't shrink, very minimally shrink with the application of vasoconstrictor drops. Okay, post-nasal discharge either mucoid or mucopurulent. Treatment is treat the predisposing factor and nasal irrigation with alkaline solution and nasal decongestants and antibiotics. This is a hypertrophic rhinitis. It is characterized by thickening of the mucous submucosa, seromycinous glands, periosteum and bone. It is mainly caused by recurrent nasal infections, chronic sinusitis, chronic irritation of the nasal mucosa. What are the symptoms here? Here, nasal obstruction, nasal discharge. This is thick and sticky, and headache, heaviness of the head, and even transient anosmia. Here, what are the signs in hypertrophic rhinitis? There is hypertrophy of the turbinates. The turbinal mucosa, I told you already, thick and does not fit on pressure, and little shrinkage with vasoconstrictors. Simple rhinitis, the difference is okay. And the maximum change in the inferior turbinate and the mulberry appearance of the inferior turbinate is an entrance question. Mulberry appearance of the inferior turbinate seen in atrophic rhinitis, this hypertrophic rhinitis, vasomotor rhinitis, and none of the above. Right? Okay, mulberry appearance seen in hypertrophic rhinitis. Coming to the treatment part. Okay, first what you are supposed to do, should discover the cause and remove it. First thing. Okay. And how do you do surgery? By reduction size of turbinates by either cartilage, complete cartilagization of the turbinate and submucosal diathermy using submucosal diathermy apparatus and cryosurgery and complete partial or complete turbinectomy and even submucous resection of the turbinate. What submucous resection? That mucosa, outer mucosa is elevated from the bone and only the bone is resected. Okay, and again that layer is, you keep it in normal position. Okay, and by using laser also. What is compensatory hypertrophic rhinitis? I told you already. In case of marked DNS, the rhomboid side of the nose shows hypertrophy of the mainly hypertrophy of the inferior followed by middle turbinate. Okay, that's for to reduce the wide space to overcome the ill effects of drying and crusting. Okay. Coming to the important one, that's atrophic rhinitis, also known as ozena. Okay, what is the definition of atrophic rhinitis? They may ask you in Viva also, what is atrophic rhinitis? It's a chronic inflammation of the nose characterized by the atrophy of the nasal mucosa, turbinate bones, anything, and nerves, and even glands. Completely, nasal mucosa, turbinates, nasal nerves, and even glands. Okay. And there will be characteristic feature called characteristic smell called ozena. That's why it's also known as ozena. Okay. It has two types, either primary and secondary. Okay. Primary, what is the cause for the primary atrophic rhinitis? The cause is not known, but various theories regarding its causation are mainly hereditary factors and endocrinal disturbance, because it's more common in females and it starts at puberty and tends to cease after menopause. Most common in white people, and deficiency of vitamin A and D and even iron. And what are the infective etiology? It's caused by Klebsiella ozinae. Okay. It's also known as Klebsiella ozinae, also known as Perez bacillus. Perez bacillus. Okay, important. What's Perez bacillus? They may ask you. What's Perez bacillus? And what's Frisch bacillus? Anybody? What is Frisch bacillus? Frisch bacillus. Haemophilus, no. For SCH, Frisch bacillus. Recently only I told you. Anybody? 108. Klebsiella. Klebsiella. Okay, Klebsiella. No. Klebsiella rhinoscleromatis is also known as Frisch bacillus. I told you in the last class, I think last before class. Okay. Klebsiella rhinoscleromatis causes rhinoscleroma. Okay. The body reacts by destructive process to the antigen released from the nasal mucosa. That's an autoimmune process. I told you the mainly primary and secondary also. I told you regarding. I'll tell you this one regarding secondary atrophic rhinitis next slides. Okay. Coming to the pathology. Mainly, the ciliated nose is covered by ciliated columnar epithelium. No, that is ciliated columnar epithelium is replaced by stratified squamous type of epithelium. It's important, and there will be atrophy of the seromucinous glands. Okay, and there will be endoarthritis, periarthritis, and endarthritis, and the bone terminates undergoes resorption, and the paranesis size becomes small. Okay, this is the pathology. Here, two types in primary atrophic rhinitis. What are the two types? In the first type, they're mainly by endarthritis and periarthritis. Okay, mainly endarthritis and periarthritis. Okay, that's why these people will be benefited from the vasodilator effect of the estrogen therapy. Okay, because of the periarthritis and endarthritis, these people will get benefit by giving vasodilator effect of the estrogen therapy. Type 2 is a little uncommon. Is here the pathology is already vasodilatation of the capillaries. That's why this condition will get worsened by giving estrogen therapy. Understood? This is very important. It's not given in Dingra and Sir. Okay. Type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is by they'll be benefited by giving estrogen therapy. They'll be worsened by giving estrogen therapy. Type 2. Okay. Most common is type 1. The clinical features here. Mainly seen in females, starts from puberty, and the characteristic foul smell seen from the nose. Okay, foul smell coming from the nose. Okay, and why it's called merciful anosmia? What's the causes of anosmia in atrophic rhinitis? I may ask you in 2 marks question. Causes of anosmia in atrophic rhinitis. Anybody can answer? Crusting. Okay, good. Atrophied mucosa. Okay, good. Crusting. Anything? Mainly 3 reasons. Okay. First thing I told already in the definition only, atrophy of the nerves. Okay. There will be what? Atrophy of the sensory nerves, neuroepithelium, olfactory sensory neuroepithelium will be atrophied. That's why there is a anosmia. That is the main point. And second one is crusting also is good. Because of the crusting in the olfactory region, the odorant can't reach the olfactory regions. Good. And anything, that's for PG question actually. Any third reason? What you said is correct. Those two. Somebody 102 and 122. Okay, anybody? Third, when if it tells very good. Third reason for anosmia. Loss of ciliary motility. Okay, but not related to this olfaction here. Main here the pathology is endarteritis and periarteritis. Okay. Okay. That is the second reason I told you, no, olfactory neuroepithelium. And third reason I am telling, that's because I told you, no, atrophy of the nasal glands also. Because of the atrophy of the nasal glands, there will be decreased production of mucin. Okay. Because of the decreased production of mucin, that odorant substance should be in contact with some mucus, then only will get activated. No, because of the less mucin, that odorant substance doesn't get mucus to adhere. Okay, that is the third reason. Good. That's why it's merciful anosmia. Okay, the causes of anosmia I told here. There's called merciful anosmia because patient will be the relatives of the patient will be getting a lot of bad smell. Those who sit in around him will get a lot of bad smell. Okay, but the patient himself is anosmic. He won't get the smell of this one bad odor. Okay, that's what it's called merciful anosmia. The epistaxis, when the crusts are removed, there will be bleeding. This is called epistaxis and nasal obstruction. Here you should know the difference between little bit difference between atrophic rhinitis and I will tell the next part rhinitis sicca. Okay, in atrophic rhinitis mainly crusts will be there in the posterior part, not in the anterior part. Okay, in rhinitis sicca mainly the crusting will be there in the anterior part. Here atrophic rhinitis crusting will be there in the posterior part. Okay, and even the crusting mainly greenish and greenish yellow type of crust will be there here. Okay, and you can see the cavities appears completely roomy. I have some video. I'll show you how the crust look like, and in the last I'll show you. Okay, this nasal cavity appears roomy, and nasal mucosa appears pale, and there will be septal perforation and deformities of the nasal vestibule, and nose shows saddle deformity. Okay, I want to ask some limited exam question. What is the pale nasal mucosa seen in? Anybody? Pale nasal mucosa seen in? Two conditions. Pale nasal mucosa, two conditions. Anybody? Allergic rhinitis. Okay, good. Good. Anything else? Asthma. Okay, allergic asthma. Okay, mainly allergic rhinitis. And into some general condition like in anemic condition, allergic condition, and here in atrophic rhinitis also. Okay, in atrophic rhinitis also, the nasal mucosa is pale. Okay, pale nasal mucosa, but difference between allergic rhinitis and here is that turbinates are swollen in allergic rhinitis. These turbinates are shrunken in atrophic rhinitis. Okay, but the difference between, anyway, I tell you in next this one topic, vasomotor rhinitis and difference between vasomotor rhinitis and allergic rhinitis. I'll show in the next talk. Okay. The prognosis, this is persists for years. The prognosis is a little bad for this atrophic rhinitis. Okay. The treatment here, mainly medical treatment. We do most of the times we do medical treatment for atrophic rhinitis. Okay. There's a nasal irrigation and removal of the crust and 25% glucose in glycerin solution. How is the mechanism of action here? Glucose in glycerin. What's the mechanism of action in glucose? Anybody? Glucose. Glucose is a bacteriostatic, first thing. Okay. And ferments into lactic acid. No? Lactic acid causes acidic pH. Is unfavorable for the growth of the organism. That is regarding glucose. What about glycerin? Glycerin a hygroscopic action. Is mild irritant and hygroscopic action. And hygroscopic action. Good. Hygroscopic action. It moisturizes the nasal mucosa. Okay. That's why the mechanism of action of 25% glucose in glycerin is very good. Okay. And even local antibiotics like chemacetin. What is the anti-oxidant solution? Is called chemacetin. It contains chloromycetin, estradiol, vitamin D, and propylene glycol. I didn't write here actually. Even propylene glycol also here. How to remember? COPD. Chloromycetin, estradiol, P for propylene glycol, and vitamin D for vitamin D2. Okay. Chemacetin antioxidant solution contains chloromycetin, estradiol, propylene glycol, and vitamin D2. Okay. Now I'll ask you in Viva. I told you no alkaline douching. First the nasal irrigation. How do you make this alkaline douching? Right? Adding sodium bicarbonate, 28.4 grams. There's a mechanism of action here. It's the alkaline medium useful for the removal of the crusts. Okay. And sodium biborate. This also 1:1:2. Okay, that's right. Sodium bicarbonate 28.4 grams. Sodium biborate 28.4 grams. So mechanism of action here is an antiseptic. Okay, antiseptic biborate. But sodium chloride is 57.7 grams. Maintains the isotonicity. 1 spoon of above powder mixed with 280 ml of water, and have to do nasal douching like this daily, twice a day. Okay. Bicarbonate is a baking soda. Okay. What is washing soda? Sodium carbonate. Okay. Coming to estradiol spray. It increases the vascularity of the nasal mucosa and regeneration of the seromucinous glands. It's important. Estradiol spray also. And even placental extract injected submucosally. And systemic use of streptomycin reduce thirst and even odor also. It's effective against Klebsiella organism. That's why streptomycin also you can try. Okay. Potassium iodide liquefies the nasal secretion. Coming to the surgical part. Surgical part mostly, mainly I told you the treatment part mainly by medical treatment. If at all, if it is not reduced, not coming to the normal, then we have to go for surgery. That too mainly in practically we are doing Young's operation or modified Young's operation. Okay. What is Young's operation? Young's operation here, both the nostrils are closed completely. In Young's operation, actually, we do first one nostril. We have to complete the close. We have to close the nostril completely. Okay, by putting a small incision anterior to the circumferential incision, round the circumferential incision anterior to the mucocutaneous junction. Will elevate the flaps anteriorly and posteriorly. First, we will close the posterior flaps from medial and lateral. For double protection, you have to do anterior flap closure also. Anterior flap also closed medial and laterally. Okay. It should be open after 6 months, around 1 year. Okay. Then, once it opens, we have to do the surgery on the opposite side. That's a Young's operation. What is the mechanism here? What is the use of closing the nostril? Anybody? Hmm? No, protecting from infections. No. One good answer. Crusting reduces. How? How crusting will reduce? Okay, air currents will reduce, crusting will reduce. That's okay. Little bit of good answer. Main thing is not the this one. Main is hypercapnia. By closing this nostrils, there will be accumulation of CO2. There is a hypercapnia. This hypercapnia induces nasal regeneration, nasal mucosal regeneration. Okay, this hypercapnia is very important. It induces nasal mucosal regeneration. Okay, that's a good answer. Okay, good. Crusting also is good. One of the answers. Okay. Young's operation, I told you, no. First, you have to close one nostril. After 1 year, you open this and you have to close the other nostrils. Then, next, no, young operation, there is a modified Young's operation. Modified Young operation is like you can do both nostrils, you can close simultaneously, keeping some in the middle 3 mm small opening. Okay. By keeping 3 mm small opening in the center, you can do both nostrils simultaneously. Okay. What's the extra advantage of modified Young's operation over Young's operation? Anybody? One is can be done simultaneously. Second, you can do normal nasal respiration so that there won't be any dryness in the throat. Otherwise, if there's dryness will be there. Okay. Third one, no denasal speech. No denasal speech. Okay. That is the main advantage of modified Young's operation. I show the diagrams in the next. And that's regarding hypercapnic. This one. Next, somebody told that to reduce the crusting, the surgeries included here are narrowing the nasal cavities. Among the techniques followed are submucal injection of Teflon paste, insertion of fat cartilage bone, Teflon strips under the mucoperiosteum, the floor, and the lateral wall of the nose, and mucoperitoneum under the septum. So that decrease the nasal cavity, because the roomy nasal cavity in the atrophic rhinitis, to reduce the cavity size, you can insert all these things. Okay, and one more thing is section of medial displacement of lateral wall of the nose. This is also on a surgery, Latten-Schlager surgery. Okay, medial displacement of lateral wall of the nose. I'll tell the names. I told you already, Young's operation, modified Young's operation. That's a medial displacement. I told you, no, medial displacement of lateral wall of nose. That's called Latten-Schlager's operation. Better to know the names. If somebody asking Viva, Latten-Schlager's operation. And some names are there: Wilson's, Whitmax, and vestibuloplasty, and sublabial implantation of placental. What is Wilson's operation? This is Young's operation. I told you, no, roomy nostril, circumferential incision, flaps anterior and posterior. Posterior flaps first closed, followed by anterior flaps closed. Okay. This is modified Young's operation. By keeping small ethylene polythene tube, you have to make a 3 mm size opening on both sides. It's modified Young's. Wilson's procedure is injection of Teflon in glycerin, Teflon placed in glycerin into the inferior terminates. That's a Wilson's procedure. Okay. Whitmax operation is salivary duct, parotid gland salivary duct transposition into the nasal mucosa to increase the moisturization. Okay, these are not doing, but for theoretical purpose you should know. But the secondary, mainly surgically we are doing. Even in my PG time in Mangalore, they are doing the same. Only two. One is TENS, modified TENS, and placenta, sublabial injection of placenta. That is also very important. I mentioned that. No? Names. This sublabial implantation of placental bits. How do you insert this one? Sublabial incision will make and keep fresh placental bits. Okay, fresh placental bits in the sublabial area. Okay, mechanism action here. The progesterone and estrogen in the placenta causes increased vascularity of the nasal mucosa. Okay, that's also very good procedure. Anybody this name? Have you ever heard this name in somewhere? Whitmax operation. Whitmax. Anybody? I'm giving clue in year. Whitmax theory of Whitmax theory of retraction pocket. Good. In cholesteatoma. Okay. Good. Okay. These are the main surgical aspects. Coming to the secondary atrophic rhinitis. I told you, primary is regarding this, all this. Secondary is secondary atrophic rhinitis, mainly secondary to syphilis, lupus, leprosy, rhinoscleroma, even rhinosporidiosis. Okay, the secondary atrophic rhinitis. Most common cause of unilateral atrophic rhinitis is extreme deviation of the nasal septum. Okay, and post-operative septoplasty. Atrophic rhinitis on the wider side. Coming to the rhinitis sicca. May ask you Viva 2 marks question. As a crust forming disease, I told you the difference also already. I seen in patients who work in hot, dry, and dusty surroundings, and it's confined to the anterior third. The crust confined to the anterior third of the nose. I told you. Mainly here the problem with the cilia. Ciliated pulmonary artery undergoes squamous metaplasia, and the atrophy of seromestin glands all same, almost like atrophic rhinitis. The difference is there won't be any bad smell. Okay, no ozone. Okay, and anything crusting in the anterior side, anterior 1/3, and anything regarding crusts also you can tell. Greenish yellow crusts are there mostly in atrophic rhinitis. Here mainly black crusts will be there. Okay, 3. Mainly the pathology is endarteritis and periarteritis. Here mainly cilia. Okay, these are the main differences. If they give answer, you can tell like this, you will get good marks. Okay. Main treatment be bland ointment and antibiotic and steroid and nasal lotion. What is rhinitis caseosa? Anybody? What's the other name of rhinitis caseosa? Very good. 102. What's the name? Amruta. Good. Nasal cholesteatoma, also known as rhinitis caseosa. Good. It's a unilateral, mostly affecting males. The difference in the previous two conditions mainly affects females. Okay. rhinitis cases affects mainly males. Nose is filled with offensive purulent discharge like cholesteatoma. Okay, offensive purulent discharge and cheesy material. Sinus becomes more granulomatous. Sinus becomes more granulomatous, and bony wall sinus may be destroyed. Okay. What's the if the bony walls of sinus may be destroyed? You may misinterpret as carcinoma also. Okay, bony walls of sinus here also they will be destroyed. DD you can tell rhinitis caseosa. In the CA maxilla and all DD you can tell like rhinitis caseosa. Okay, treatment part is the removal of the debris and granulation tissue and free drainage of the affected sinus. More important thing, vasomotor rhinitis. Okay, is a non-allergic rhinitis, but it's clinically simulating the nasal allergy, but it's non-allergic. Condition usually persists throughout the year, not like perennial seasonal allergy like this. Continues throughout the year. Here, what is the pathology here? Pathogenesis. Sorry, pathogenesis. Here, because of parasympathetic overactivity. Parasympathetic causes. What is parasympathetic stimulation of the nose? Cause vasodilatation and increases secretion. Okay, because of the parasympathetic stimulation overactivity, then sympathetic overactivity, there is a vasomotor rhinitis happens. Okay, because of overactivity of the parasympathetic system also causes excessive secretion from the nasal glands. And why then? What is the role of emotions and this one here? Because autonomic nervous system is under the control of hypothalamus. Okay, therefore emotions play a great role in vasomotor rhinitis. Okay, nasal mucosa also hyperreactive and responds to severe non-specific stimuli, example change in temperature, humidity. Symptoms here: paradoxically sneezing the morning, excessive rhinorrhea, profuse and watery rhinorrhea, and nasal obstruction and postnasal drip. Okay. Nasal mucosa or the turbinate is generally congested and hypertrophic. I told you no, allergic rhinitis difference. I asked you in the previously difference between allergic rhinitis and here is a mucosa is congested here. In both the conditions there will be hypertrophic turbinates. Okay, but here the mucosa is congested. Then allergic rhinitis mucosa is pale. Okay, what are the complications here? Nasal polyps, hypertrophic rhinitis, and sinusitis. What is the treatment here? Mainly by the avoidance of physical factors which provoke the symptoms is very important, and antihistaminics and anticholinergics like anybody anticholinergic like epitropium bromide and all you can use, oral nasal decongestants, and topical steroids and systemic steroids for short time, and psychological factors should be removed. So the surgical part will be nasal obstruction can be relieved by measures which reduce the size of the turbinates. I told you now turbinates are hypertrophic. Excessive rhinorrhea relieved by section of the parasympathetic sector fibers to the nose. Vidian neurectomy. Good. Okay. What is the Vidian nerve? Anybody? Vidian nerve? Vidian nerve formed by nerve of thyroid canal. Good. Formed by GS, greater superficial petrogel nerve and deep petrogel nerve. Okay. Greater superficial petrogel and deep petrogel forms nerve of thyroid canal. Good, good. Okay. What's the Vidian neurectomy? Indications of Vidian neurectomy. One is vasomotor rhinitis, and any other thing? No, in ear. Giving clue. Refractory cases of I think facial are over, no? Crocodile tears. Okay. That is also there. Also, you can do Vidian neurectomy. Okay. What are the other forms of non-allergic rhinitis? These are drug-induced rhinitis, like some antihypertensives and some anticholinergic drugs like neostigmine. Contraceptives also cause drug-induced rhinitis. And rhinitis medicamentosa. This is also two more questions I may ask you. What is rhinitis medicamentosa? Because of topical decongestants and nasal drops for prolonged usage causes rebound congestion. Okay. Rebound congestion and dependence also. Okay. Their excess use cause rhinitis treated by withdrawal of the nasal drops and short course of systemic steroids. Okay. I have the video of this also. Show you. And next thing, these are the normal rhinitis of the pregnancy, because the hormonal changes, honeymoon rhinitis, and emotional rhinitis, and rhinitis due to hypothyroidism because of the parasympathetic activity, and non-airflow rhinitis. Patients of laryngectomy and tracheostomy. Okay. To show some videos here. See the crusting in ectropic rhinitis. It's a video showing crusting of the nasal cavity. Okay. Even if you clean that, you come in 1 week, within 1 week again, complete crusting. You can see here. Okay. With atrophy of the mucosa and nose. Simply, you can tell that it's atrophic rhinitis by seeing anti-rhinoscopy. How? By doing anti-rhinoscopy with Tudicum nasal speculum, if you see properly complete nasopharynx by directly, the chances of early stages of atrophic rhinitis, because in normal patients you can't see directly the nasopharynx like this. Okay, because of the atrophy only you can see the nasopharynx directly by using Tudicum's nasal speculum. Okay. Okay, this is actually already done modified Young's operation. Here once complete Young's operation. I told you no, rhinitis medicamentosa condition here. See this hypertrophy turbinates. Hypertrophy is middle turbinate, posterior part. Let's see, choana, nasopharynx. See this, how this inferior turbinate looks, other side. Okay, so because of the congestion, rebound congestion, because of the excessive use of nasal wasps like oxymetazoline and glumetazolone. Okay. That is regarding rhinitis. Any doubts regarding today's topic? important one I told you, no. Mainly atopic rhinitis is important, and rhinitis sicca and caseosa and vasomata rhinitis are important. Rhinitis medicamentosa. They are the important of this class. Atopic rhinitis itself, I may give it to you as an essay. Okay. So 2 internals or 3 internals. You people have having 3 internals only. I think around most probably around October we'll be having second internal. Unlike first internal, so will be in complete theory as or in final exam, university exam model, and third internal around December or January. Any the doubts? Okay, but depends on their departmental individual departments. It's not like everybody should be having the internals on the same month or this one. Okay. Which book we should purchase? Which book are reading? Most of them are you reading? Hajarika. No? Hajarika is a good book. If you not read Hajarika, but Dhingra also you can read. Dhingra also good book, but university prescribed books are Hajarika, Login Turner, and what K.K. Ramalingam, and or PG book, that is Adgo. Okay, these are 4 books they prescribed, but no, my time, UG time, to that time, AMC, and I think in AMC now also they're reading, most of them are reading both Dhingra and Hajarika. If you have doubts, but before going to exam, you have to come to one book. You can't read both books before the exam date. Okay, you have to write in one book. Any extra points are there. At least you have to read 2 books. But if you read Hajarika is good. Hajarika is given most of the information. You can get good marks because all tabular form they are given. If you write papers and papers full theory, don't nobody will get time to read and write give marks. If you write properly in tabular form, you'll get good marks. Okay, you can read both books, mainly Hajarika and even Dhingra also good book. Anything regarding last week incident? Don't repeat that. We have heard about Chandrasekhar's class that day. It's given enough explanation. అంటే మేము కూడా చేసేవాళ్ళం, బట్ నాట్ క్రిటిసైజింగ్ అండ్ ఓకే, not criticizing teachers, not insulting our teachers and all, because they are in still you have to go across final year MBBS, and the very important subjects are there next also. The noble profession, they are not like degree, this one, for university exams. E-book. That's entrance book. That's entrance book you can read. Entrance book you can read for entrance, but not for your theory. Yeah, that you can read simultaneously, but you can't completely rely on e-book for your theory. Okay. Anything? Okay, then I'll stop today. Okay. Read well.